Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Hi, and welcome to Straight Talk About God video. I'm Jack. We're going to do home movies today. I've got something here. Usually I don't do anything personal, okay? That's why I said home movies. When I was growing up, there was no TV, right? You went over to somebody's house for dinner or whatever, they show you a bunch of their home movies. Well, we went on vacation over to here and there, you know, and, well, 5 or 10 minutes of that is okay, but a half hour, well, that's what I've got planned here. Just going to be way over an hour, and it's all about something that's personal to me. But I'm going to show you God. I'm going to show you God. But it's going to take some time, like I said. Right? Hello again. I'm talking here to those long-time subscribers who have posted much praise for my other videos. Right? Let that carry you to really personalize your study of this fact. Right? Use that same trust that you proclaim to follow through in finding your own number. Okay? I'm 100% sure that you have a whole number. You do have a number. See, I found that I needed to do a longer insert about the length of the video, okay? Because when I was preparing, I timed it several times, and it never came out longer than an hour and a half. Well, I know that's a long video. You know, it's as long as a movie, you know? But I've got plenty of other videos that are more than an hour. And I said, okay, that's enough. When I filmed it and timed it, it's 2.5 hours. You see, but when we're talking about God, examining God, many side issues come in to fill out the picture. You know, our understanding of God contains a whole lot of side issues, right, that help fill out the big picture. And that's what we all should be studying for all of our lives, because the picture keeps getting bigger, right? You think you know a whole bunch about God. Oh, yeah, and then there's this thing happening. Well, what? Oh, look at that. One can't gain the big picture just by using the bottom line with no side issues. Bottom line. Huh? What's the bottom line in this case? God is real. God is real. That's only 3 words. Huh? 2.5 hours to look at 3 words. Huh? Okay? Please take all of this in, you long-time people. Take it all in. However you can, however you feel like doing. It's going to be up there. You know, download it. Take it in a half hour at a time, whatever. It's going to strengthen your belief and help you trust God. If you can't act in trust of God, despite the negative circumstances that stare you in the face, you're not making it into heaven. Faithing is the only way to get in, and that's trusting something God has said about the way you're supposed to do. Okay? So, take it in a half hour at a time. Take some notes. Do some of the computations. Find out your own name number. Huh? That'll give you something to start with anyway. Right? And if you have any questions, email me. I'm available. Right? stag@asis.com. Right? I wish you well. first off, I know you probably knee-jerk the impossibility of that and think maybe I'm going to pull some kind of numeric scheme, okay? Or scam. Scam, okay. And I don't blame you, But the reason I'm doing this is because of Ephesians 4 says that our job, the ministry of God is the edification of the body of Christ. That's the bottom line. Any believer is expected to help God with his ministry, to help edify other believers. This isn't just for your pastor or some prophet or evangelist or whatever. It's for everybody. Everybody. Okay? And if I can show you God and show you enough evidence to make you believe that it's true, that's what I'm supposed to do. Right? Build up the saints. Edify. So here's the bottom line. God has given me the number 17. See, I told you. This fact means that he also has given you a number. Oh. See, that's why I have to do this. You might be fortunate enough to take this to heart and find your own number. And if you do, it'll change your life forever. That's right. That's right. Yeah. This has given me a strong enough belief. It's the same as if I believe that the sun is going to come up tomorrow. Huh? So, if you're a skeptic, you have a lot of skepticism, don't bother going any farther with this. Just turn it off. There's no sense in you going for 10 or 15 minutes and then decide, oh yeah, and then quit. Don't waste your 10 or 15 minutes, okay? Because what I've got to show you is going to take a long time. I can't just say God is real and you believe it, like the sun's going to come up, okay? But I assure you that I could produce all of the evidence that I have in a court of law, backed up by the basic laws of evidence that all courts go by, right? And the conclusion would be that this is a supernatural happening, and it has to be produced by a sentient being. It's not random, okay? And I'm only going to give you a smattering of all the evidence I have. You see, that evidence goes into the thousands of 17 events, okay? So maybe you want to get a snack, pause and go get a snack and a cup of coffee or whatever, okay? Okay, God gave me a number. God has given me the number 17. Okay, we'll go on. The question is, what exactly is the significance of having a personal number? What good is it? What's the reason? Why did God put 17 on my life? And a number on your life, if you can find it. And that's the good question, but the answer doesn't come without taking a position that the thing is true. Okay? This is the longest short version that I can give you. Okay? See, once one can look at it completely objectively, the significance comes right out. It's just an exercise in logic. It's all. A 12-year-old could put logic to this, and okay? If it's true that everyone has a personal number, and I never thought of it being any other way than that, then if I have something so basic, and it is, you'll see, it's so basic, everybody has to have one. It's part of God's creation. That's what it is. And it's not part of your physical being, right? Like your toes. Right? You see, once we say that everyone has a personal number, then we have to ask who, with a capital W, who arranged it. Can't be some random thing. It can't be. It isn't random, and if it isn't random, it must be planned. It's planned. The next logical question is who, with a capital W, who has the ability to accomplish such a conditional thing. I don't. You don't. And all the evidence I've ever seen in studying the Bible for 40 years and reading books and things, all the evidence regarding angels tells me that they can't do it either. They can't set up my physical existence and the situations that I get into to produce the appearance of my number. The devil, he's good. He can do a lot of good stuff for himself, a small g, good. But he's just a created angel like all the other angels, even though he's more powerful than most of them. He can't do it, right? Okay, I'm going to go around the side door for a minute. Suspend your disbelief and try to imagine what it would be like if your doorbell rings and when you answered the door, a mature, nice-looking man is standing there smiling. We're setting up what will make you believe, okay? What could happen that will make you believe all this? Okay? And immediately you felt friendship and safety. It was, you never saw this guy before, and yet he feels just right, right with a capital R, right? So he asked if he could come in, and you hurried to invite him and get him seated in the most comfortable chair, right? This was definitely an error about this guy. He just made you feel open, good, He begged forgiveness for not being able to accept my offer or your offer of something to drink or eat. He had other pressing business to take care of. So you sat in locked attention to him. Now I'm going to switch and have it my name, okay? So he said to me, Jack, how you've lately been seeing a lot of the number 17? And after a while, you even noticed that multiples of the number 17, like 34 and 51, were showing up, as you put it, all over the place. How did the stranger know my name? Did he look me up before coming over here? Maybe, I don't know. But he feels so right, like I said. And not only that, how did he know that I've been seeing the number 17? Everywhere. He couldn't look that up before he came over, right? He leaned forward a bit and riveted my eyes. And he said, Jack, you are so blessed. So blessed. that 17 is the number given to you by God. Whoa. Before you were born. Check your birth certificate. Up there in the right-hand corner on the top, there's a number. It's a direct multiple of 17. What? Your birth certificate number is 968 times 17 minus 1. The 969 is an exact multiple of 17 by 57 times. 57. My birth certificate number, I had to get out my wallet and get it out and check to make sure I got the right number. Okay? It's 16457. That's the official number on my birth certificate. And it's 969 times 17, but it's only 968. And we'll get into how this works in a bit, okay? So how did he know? I mean, I didn't even know my birth certificate number, let alone that it's a 17. How did he know that? I can do nothing else but conclude that this, quote, person is supernatural. He must be some kind of angel, right? Only an angel could do all the stuff he's doing, know what he knows. And he said that God had given me this number. What else can I do but believe him? You see, that's the kind of belief that you have when you get a number like that, because it goes everywhere. You'll see that, right? Okay? Now, this isn't what happened to me, but I know with as much certainty that my number is 17, right? And was given to me by God, right? I'll show you in a minute, I have a 1-inch thick file of pages. I was going to make a scrapbook of pages of receipts and tickets to movies, etc., etc., with numbers on them. Here it is. Look at this. Look at all this. All these receipts. Anything with anything with a number that's only for me. Okay? If I go to the store and buy something, there's going to be a receipt number on the receipt, the invoice number on the receipt. That's only mine. Doesn't belong to anybody else. Okay? The address of the store, we don't count that kind of stuff. It's only stuff that's personal to me. Okay? And I've got 2 envelopes full of more receipts to put on this file. There's another 15, 20 pages to put on here already, right? I'm going to show you all. This is just the beginning, just a little beginning, okay? I look at all my receipts and the numbers that are mine alone, not the date or anything. The more important occurrences of 17 I keep on a typed single-space stationery. It's got as many events as that file I just showed you, right? I have 8.5 pages of major events that contain a 17, like my birth certificate. Here it is here. Look at that. See that? Single space, typed. Page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. Hold on. These are all black. So they're not major ones. The major ones are red. Okay, what is this? This was on an invoice when I bought something. It had 7 numbers that I could say were mine alone. And out of those 7 numbers, 5 featured the number 17. Now that doesn't mean it looked like a 17. It could have been an 89. And 8 plus 9 is 17. And I'm going to show you about how this works. It's gematria. Gematria, right? I didn't make any of this stuff up. This has been around for centuries, millennia, right? Another page. Another page. There's a bunch of red ones here. Let's see. Here's a credit union Visa, with 3 numbers. 3 numbers. And I got 6 features of 17 out of 3 numbers. Okay. Here's one that I got a letter from somebody who saw my website or watched one of my videos or whatever, from Germany. Sent me a letter from Germany. George D. sent me a letter from Germany, and the stamp was 153. 153 is 17. Okay, we've got a lot of 17s coming up later on. They're everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere. They come out of me. Okay? So, are you seeing the significance of this then? This isn't an occasional 17, or a total of 20 or 30 times it happened. This has happened an impossible, all capital letters, impossible number of times. Yeah? From even before I was a day old. My birth certificate, I was just a matter of an hour old and the birth certificate had a number on it already, right? The significance is God. That's God. Only God could do this, right? And you'll see that, right? I've got thousands of these events, right? What can we know? We can know a lot about God, but we can't know what he's thinking, right? We can guess by some of the stuff that he does. He must be thinking this, but. So I can't say why he does this. He does it. But there's only one thing that makes any sense to me, right? And that is that every place I've looked and read about over 40 years about numbers and creation, everything is based in numbers. God's creations are all based in numbers. So, I'm not the only 17 in the world, right? There's millions of 17s, right? Because the particular creation event that God did was based on the number 17. Somebody else might have the number 19 or 357. Okay? Well, we'll get into that after a bit. Okay? So we can know a lot about God, not everything. Okay? But I don't ever take 17 as some kind of a good or bad omen. Right? I never, all capitals, never act on something because of the appearance of 17. This is all after the fact, all right? And I really don't think that this is what these personal numbers are for. The devil might want to say that to you. So what's left? If they aren't to help me do something or reject something, but I know that God is behind the 17s, the only thing I can be sure of is that God is there. And every time I get a 17, he's still there. He's reminding me that he made this possible, right? I went to the hardware store. I got some storm door insulation. It's going to be for winter. The sales receipt came out with 3 17s. 3 17s. I bought a new car. We'll get into this in more detail. But I bought a new car in 2004, and I went through the contract for all the personal numbers, including the odometer reading. You know, all new cars have an odometer reading. You know, they aren't zero, right? Okay. There were 11 numbers, you'll see this later, 11 numbers that were available to me to treat as personal, right? 11 numbers, 10 of those numbers were 17s. Now I say 17 for 3 or 4 different reasons. Features of 17, okay? We'll get to that. Right? The odometer number, for instance, was 255 miles. Well, 255 miles, okay. But 255 is 15 times 17 on the nose, okay? When I get number values for my 3 names and reduce those numbers down to a single digit, we'll go through that, okay? It comes out that Jack reduces to a 7. You're supposed to reduce these numbers down till there's only one mentioned, one digit, okay? So Jack in English gematria, and I have to tell you first of all that in English gematria, the only number you can get for a letter is what position it is in the alphabet, because English doesn't have numbers assigned to the letters like Greek and Hebrew. Greek and Hebrew always have had, ever since there was a language, numbers assigned to each letter, okay? And they aren't what number, what position in the alphabet they sit, okay? The numbers go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but then it goes for 10. It doesn't go to 11. It goes to 20. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Then it goes by hundreds. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. Omega, the last number, the last letter of the Greek alphabet, is worth 600. 600. See? So a 4-letter word in Greek, could have a word value of 780, whatever, okay? In English, we just go by the position, okay? And Jack, the letters in Jack total up to 25. 25. But I have to reduce that down to a single digit. So I add the digits and see what comes out. 5 and 2 is 7. A single digit. Okay. So Jack is a 7. Okay. Edward is a 1. Because Edward totals 55. 55, 5 plus 5 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So Edward is worth a 1. And Flaws is 61. And 6 and 1 is 7. So my name is 717. Okay? Easy. Okay? It's also 17 backwards and forwards, 717, right? So my name in both languages feature 17. Both Bible languages. It isn't just in English, it's in Hebrew and Greek, right? In Greek, my name totals, we just said with this a little bit ago, my name totals 969. In Greek. Huh? That was my birth certificate, 968, 69. Maybe you remember Methuselah's age when he died, 969. And several of the patriarchs from Adam up through Abraham, their life number, how long they lived, there's 7 or 8 that are 17s, just off the side, okay? In Hebrew, there's no vowels in Hebrew. And so there's only 4 letters in Hebrew, okay? 4 digits. We're going to go into this in detail after a bit, okay? But every time I get a 17, it's like God saying hello, right? Okay? Maybe that's the reason why I'm a 17. Why I know I'm a 17. Do you know your number? Huh? Are you the one in 450,000 that knows his number? Huh? Who's ever looked for their number? Huh? I didn't look for my number. God showed it to me. You know, long process. I'll tell you about that. Okay? So maybe he knows that I need to know my number, you know, to keep my belief going, right? I think that's why he showed it to me. I didn't find this out until I was 51. 51! Huh? 3 times 17. They're every place, okay? A couple of small, quote, coincidences put a couple of 17s together. Wait a minute, I've got a lot of pages here, okay? This is page 2. Oh, okay, page 2. Here's page 3. So anyway, a couple of coincidences said, oh, 17, look at that. Well, I started looking at the important numbers in my life. You know, I noticed that the date that I bought the place that I'm living in right now. I'm living in it right now, okay? I bought it, the date on the sale, the contract, is July 17th. July 17th. Well, July is the 7th month. So that 7/17 was when I bought the house. Okay? Now, my favorite Bible verse. You know, if you grew up in a church, you had Bible study for the kids, and at some time, the teacher is going to find out and ask all of the kids in the class what their favorite Bible verse is. And most of them are going to come up with John 3:16, right? Well, I saw that, and I don't know why I didn't pick that out and why I got the number, the verse that I got, but it's Proverbs 3:6. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Okay, that's a nice verse, good verse to have as a proper verse, okay. I have had 2 or 3 Bibles in my possession that I didn't buy. I had no choice in it. Okay? My parents gave me one. You know, that's okay. But not long after that, I bought my own Bible for a definite reason. Because my pastor used a King James Bible that had wide margins in it. It's got a 1-inch margin on both sides. you know. So you can put all kinds of notes in there and not mess up so you can't read it, you know. I happen to be reading in my daily reading thing. I read the Bible through until it's over with, and I go back to the beginning. I read it through again. I've been doing that for 40 years. You know? This time, I happened to be in Proverbs, and I came to my verse. I said, oh, Proverbs 3:6. Okay. I noticed the page number, 717. 717, my holy number. 717. Amazingly, the Bible I've been using for 40 years, before I knew anything about 17, okay, has Proverbs 3:6 on 717. And not long after that, I saw it on my birth certificate. Okay? It's like God stopping by for coffee every day. You know, oh, how you doing, Jack? Oh, keep up the good work. You know, I'm here. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to explain to you how this gematria stuff works, because most people don't know this stuff, but it's been around, and there's many authors that are writing books about the gematria of the Bible. Okay? The gematria of the Bible. The first thing you have to know about gematria is it doesn't mean quantity. My 17 is a gematria 17. It doesn't mean there's 17 this or 17 that. It means that the symbol of 17 is there. The Bible number 17, there's at least 3 different charts that I've seen that outline the Bible numbers and what they symbolize. Okay? I'll give you one example of that. Is every time you see the number 600 in the Bible, it's going to be connected to something about war. War. The number of chariots. When David was running away from Saul, a lot of his army, his first army, resorted to him and became part of his group and made it with him, okay? There were 600 there. One of Goliath's armor, or his sword or his spear, was 600 giras or ounces or shekels, or 600 of the war. 600 chariots were there. Okay. It's all about symbols. Okay? So 17 is the number in the Bible, is the number of resurrection. Jesus came out of the tomb on the 17th day of the month. Passover was when he was crucified, and Passover is commanded by God to be on the 14th day of the first month of the year. And actually it's the first spiritual month, because the spiritual new year starts with Passover. And Passover is mandated by God to be on the 14th day of the month. And if Jesus was in the tomb for 3 days and 3 nights, which is what he says he was going to be, not Friday crucifixion, it had to be Wednesday crucifixion, so that he came out 3 days, 3 nights later on the first second of Sunday, which happens in Hebrew at 1 minute after sundown. The day in Hebrew goes from sundown to sundown. Sundown starts the new day, and sundown ends that day at the end of the day the next time. We go from midnight to midnight, you know, okay? So 17 symbolizes, reminds us that Jesus came out of the tomb and resurrected. Which means that his resurrection instituted the new covenant by God of the indwelling Spirit when you trust him. He puts his Spirit in your body. Okay? So now gematria is all about symbols. Oh, symbols. One name in the New Testament for Jesus, Bonnie Gaunt, who wrote 6 or 7 books on gematria and how it works in creation and all that. Okay, she says that Lord Jesus Christ is the name that's used the most for Jesus in the New Testament. Okay, in Greek, Lord Jesus Christ, those words have word values. And when you total up the word values of Lord Jesus Christ, it comes out to 3168. Remember, I said some of those letters are worth 600. Okay? For instance, Jesus' name alone, just his name, the word value of Jesus is 888. 888. What does the number 8 symbolize in the Bible? New beginnings. New beginnings. And in gematria, when a number is triple, like 888, it means that the symbol intensity is at the maximum. The maximum. 1-8, that's good. Then, okay, 2 8s, that's better. But 3, you can't get any better than that. That's 100%, like God is 100%. Okay? Okay? Now we got the symbols locked down. There are at least 4 or 5 ways that you can say this number features 17. Okay? We get one already, right? My birth certificate. You divide that number by your number 17, my number 17, and see if it comes out on the head, right? It didn't, did it? It came out 968 when 969 is on the head. Okay. But how does that feature 17 then? Okay? 969 does, because it's exact on 17. It's called Kollel. Kollel. And again, I didn't make any of this up, okay? I didn't find anything about this until I was 50, you know? I was doing gematria in Bonnie Gaunt's books and stuff, and finding out that Jesus' name, 3168, is all over creation. Because John starts out his whole book saying that Jesus was the exact agency of God for the creation. He's the one that spoke, and nothing became everything. Right? So Jesus' name, Lord Jesus Christ, is in all kinds of places. I got a couple of videos, you can check this out. Okay? If you look up and measure the diameter of the sun, the moon, and the earth, they all total 3168 with 100 zeros after it. Okay? Zeros can't symbolize anything, can they? No. So zeros don't count. Okay? So you have 3168 billion megalithic miles. Okay? All of the measurements that you use have to be God measurements. That means that the decimal point never appears. Okay? It's not about decibels. It's not meters. It's not kilometers. Nothing on the metric scale. The metric is a human invention fostered by the devil, because it's not accurate. It's Very accurate, almost. But almost. Okay? So you can't say a centimeter. You have to go with an inch, a foot, not a meter, a yard, a furlong, a mile, megalithic mile, which we hardly ever hear of. And depending on what you're using to measure those diameters of those three, you come out with 3168, all three of them. And her books, you go down the Nile, and every place, all the different places that you can stop in the Nile River, there's ways you can measure, and it comes out 3168. Same thing happens with Jordan. With up above the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea and the distance between things and everything, 3168. Okay. So we have Kolel. That means that the target number. Okay, 969 is the target number. 17 on the nose, but 968. And 970 are Kolel. They're right next to. And because the target number has figured having 200% of intensity of the symbol, okay? And half of one of those 100% goes on the number before it, and the other half goes on the number after it. So you've got 50%, 50%, 100%. In the middle, okay? So you got three numbers that can feature 17 when you multiply or divide, okay? So you have on the nose, you've got Kolel, and then you've got addition, because, like I said earlier, the number 89 can't be divided or multiplied into by 17. It doesn't work. If you multiply it into 89 into 17, it'll come out to be 5 times 17 minus 3 or plus 4. See? When it's Kolel, it comes out 0.0 or 0.1. Just the next number up. See? So that's three different ways we got to do that now. Okay? The fourth way is if the number doesn't do any of the first three numbers, but it shows a 17. There's a 1-7 at the beginning or the end or in the middle, whatever, okay? One thing that's always involved in gematria is the reverse of the number. And I hardly ever do anything with reverse, okay? But it's on the list, right? So 71 features 17. Because it's the reverse of your target number, okay? It has the same digits, all right? And the digits for 17 are 1, that's God, and 7 is finished. Nothing left to do. You can't add anything to it. You can't take away anything from it. 7 is the finished product. Okay? So it's a finished product of God. Okay? If you have a 71, you have finish by God. Okay? Make sense? It's in there. All right? Now the reason I went through all that is because we're going to look at a lot of numbers now. A lot of numbers, okay? The first house that my family ever bought, the only house that my family bought, because my parents died living in that house. My sister lives there now, okay? We rented 5 or 6 different places before we moved there, okay? We moved there, and that was a major life change for me. We moved there in 1953 when I was 17. I had nothing to do with the purchase of the house. I didn't have anything to say in the thing. I didn't say, well, this is a real good place. Why don't we buy this one? It wasn't me. My father was the only one working. You know? It was his choice. Right? And my mother. Okay? It happened in 1953. But 1953, if we add the digits, 1 plus 9 is 10, 5 plus 10 is 15, and 3 plus 15 is 18. 1 away from 17. 18 is Kolel, right? There's more. There's more. The address of the house, the address is 3537 Adams. 3537. Well, that's not a 17 by multiplication, but it is by addition, because 35 is 8 and 37 is 10, and 8 and 10 is 18 again. 18, all right? The phone number, I'm telling you, this goes around. Okay? Actually, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was reading something about gematria and stuff, and it said that certain numbers group together by family. So if your number is 29, the numbers of your family are going to show 29s. It's a family thing, right? Never mind. Okay, the phone number is 3436, and 34, 3 and 4 is 7, right? And 6 is 13, and 3 is 18. It's another Kolel. But that 3537 for the address, if I put that together and divide that by 17, it divides by 17 too. The address, it adds to 17, 18, and it's 208 times 17 plus 1. 208 times 17 is 3536. Not 3537, 36. And that's one more. 37 is one more than a direct multiple. Okay? Another life event, major life event for me, was when I moved to Monterey. Okay? I moved from down south to Monterey. Okay? I moved there in 1970, and 19 makes 10, and 7 makes 17, and the 0 doesn't count for anything. Okay? But that's just a side issue. I was 34. 34, 2 times 17. Okay? Let's see. I moved to the place that I'm sitting in right now, in Redway, California, in 1986, which doesn't have any 17 featured in there. But I moved there when I was 50. 51 is 3 times 17, right? I didn't have a job when I moved there. I had some savings, but I didn't have a job. So I had a lot of renovation to do in the building. Okay? I didn't have a job. The savings was going to come out, and my $550 or $60 payment a month is going to rot out sometime soon. All right? Okay? So I finally got a job doing post office cleanup, janitorial. at the post office, a couple of days a week. You know, it gave me half of what I thought I needed, you know, for expenses and payments and stuff. But that put me in front of people coming in to get their mail. I'm sweeping the floor, and they're coming in to get their mail. Oh, do you do houses? Pretty soon, I had 15 contracts all around town, and 8 people hired to do all of the work. And I didn't go around and ask a business, do you need cleanup? I can do a free estimate. And it all came to me. All came to me. I didn't go looking for any of it. The same thing happened with the people, the 8 people that wound up doing some of the contracts. Because a lot of people in the rural area here, they don't want to work full time, right? They got a garden and all that stuff, but they need 2 or 3 days a week, and you know, and okay. The first job that I got, that I could let everything else go and it would make all my payments. In other words, it was a good enough job, see? Because I was only cleaning 3 days a week in a couple of different places, right? I wasn't making a full living out of it. That final job was delivering the mail in the rural area. Drive my car around and put the mail in the envelope, in the mailbox. It came to me. I didn't look for it. I didn't know it was going to even happen. I was walking into the post office to get my mail, and the driver that used that post office to pick up some mail and go out was standing outside talking to somebody. I said, "Oh, hi, Tom. Hey, you want my job?" "You want my job?" Well, by this time, after all of these contracts of cleaning, see, I told God, I said, "I don't care what you send me. You send me whatever you can, and I will never say no." So I didn't even stop and hesitate for a second. He said, "Do you want my job?" "Yes. Yes, I want your job." I knew what his job was, right? Okay. That job came to me when I was 68. 4 times 17. Good. Okay. Let's see here. What we want to do next here, we're going back to my parents' house. Okay? That paragraph there is the location of the county location of the house. Okay. Plus, when my mother died, it had to, the inheritance came into play. My sister said, she talked to the lawyer about the estate, and the house is supposed to be mine. I said, no. She took care of my mother for many years, and I said, no, I don't want the house. I don't need the house. You deserve to have the house. You take it. Okay. So she had the lawyer send me all the forms that I had to sign and send back and everything. Okay. That's what all of these numbers are going to be about. Okay. First of all, the number of the house itself, according to the county. Okay. You see that first in there? That's the very first number. It's the number of the lot on which the house sits. Not the address, the number of the lot in the county. 17. It's on lot number 17. Lot 17, except the west 10 feet thereof, and lot 18, Kolel, 18, except for the last 10 feet thereof, in Block 2, in Highway Addition, being subdivision of the North 17, 2004 acres of the South 34, 4008 acres of the east half of the northwest quarter of Section 32, got another number now, Town 38 north, and Range 15. So now we've got 17, 2004. That shows a 17 right there, all right? Then we got south at 34, 4008. 34 is 2 times 17. We got 3 17s already. The lot number is 17. We got 17 and 34. That's 3. Now we got those 3 numbers at the back. It says 32, 38, and 15. Okay? Here's what you are allowed to do. I'm allowed to look at each one of those numbers separately and see if there's a 17 featured. I am allowed to take the first 2 numbers and look at them as a total number of 4 digits and see if it's a 17. I'm allowed to take 1 and 3 and see if it's a 17. I'm also allowed to take 2 and 3 and see if it's a 17. And then I can do the addition from all of that, okay, to see if there's any features in 17. Well, if I add up the digits of 32 and 38, 3 and 2 is 5. 5 and 3, 38, 3 is 8. 8 and 8 is 16. Kollel. 16 is 1 minus to make a 17, right? Okay, good. I can take all of those numbers, put them together to make a 6-digit number, 32, 38, 15. Divide that, and what happens? It comes out to be 9,048, 17 minus 1. Minus 1. We've got 5 17s in just that paragraph that outlines where the house sits, okay? Now we go to the numbers that are on the court petition sent to me by the lawyer for me to sign, okay? All these numbers, they're all numbers to me, okay? The court number is 6943, which happens to be, when you add the digits, 6943 is 18. The estate claim was $135,000. Zeros don't mean anything, right? They don't symbolize anything. So we just work with the 135. 135 happens to be 8 times 17 minus 1. 8 times 17 is 136. It's a 17. Okay? The estate claim, that people were saying, well, this is worth $85,000. 85. Zeros don't mean anything. 85 is exactly 5 times 17. That's 2. This petition goes to the court, and the judge says yes or no, or whatever happens. The room that the petition was presented to the judge was room 1802. 1802, which is 106 times 17 exactly. There's more. There's always more. The attorney's file has a number. 29 3927.01. Okay? I can separate those two numbers. The .01 is one number, and the 3927 is another number. So I can work both of those numbers. I can say, how many times does 17 go into 01? How many times does 17 go into 3927? It goes into 3927 exactly 231 times. If I add the 0 to 1 and 1 to that, take the decimal point out and put that in there, okay, then I have 3927.01. It comes out to be 231 times 17 plus 1 for that 1. Okay. It's at 17 anyway. Two ways to do it. All right? There's an EIN number. I don't remember what that EIN stands for, but it's an EIN number. The number was 45-6633-040. Okay? 7 numbers, 7 digits. If I take the 45, leave that off, and I just divide the 6633-040 with 17, it comes out to be 860,767 times 17 plus 1. Plus 1. The attorney made out a receipt, and I had a copy of the receipt. That's it. It's a receipt. The number for the receipt is 417182. It doesn't divide by 17. It doesn't add to 17, but it shows a 17. 417. 417, 182. Right? Now I don't count. I guess maybe I could say, well, there's another one there because it says 18 is in there. 18 appears that, and 18 is Kolel, but I didn't count that. Okay? 17 shows a 17. Now my mother's dead. My mother died October 23rd, 2011. She died. You go to a Bible number chart and see what the number 23 symbolizes. She died on October 23rd. It's the number for death. The number for death. It's not a 17, but look at that coincidence. But if I put all of those numbers together, 10, 23, 2011, into one single number, okay, divide that by 17, and it comes out exactly on 17. 601,883 times 17. There's always more. There's always more. Okay? So, as I'm going to mention later on, her birth name, married names don't count. God didn't give you the married name, okay? Your spouse gave you the married name, okay? Birth name. Her birth name doesn't have any 17s, okay? But my dad's name, remember I said family? My dad's name is Edward Magnus Flaws. Edward is the same as my Edward. 55 comes out to be a 1. Right? Right? Magnus is 75. 7 and 5 is 12. 12. 1 and 2 is 3. So his middle name is a 3. Okay? So 1, 3, and Flaws is the same as mine. 61 is a 7. So it's 137 is the reduced number. Well, 137 is 8 times 17 plus 1. Did I tell you when he was born? He was born on the 17th of September. September 17th. But September is now the 9th month. So his birthday is 1940, 1914, or 19, I think it's 1914. I've got that down later on. You'll find that out. Okay? 14. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm looking in the wrong place. Okay. His birthday, again, is September. But you see, September used to be the 7th month. That's why the sept doesn't say 9. Nin says 9. Sept is 7. See? Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar took over the 7th and 8th month and pushed September back to the 9th month. So if you take sept as 7, he was born on the 17th day of the 7th. That's 717. Okay? However, September 17th, 1916, that's what it is, 1916. Put all of those together, 9, 17, 19, 16, the digits add to 33. Okay? 9, 17, 16, if we take the 19 out of the 16, like we normally do, right? I was born on May the 8th, 49, 36, whatever. Okay, we do that. That's common. Okay? And I just threw that in there. Okay? But 19, 9, 17, 16 is 5395 times 17 plus 1. Plus 1. Here's the real kicker. You want to talk about a 17? Edward Magnus Flaws has 17 letters. My name doesn't have 17 letters. I come up short. I need a couple more. I only have 15 letters in my name. Okay. My sister is an adopted sister. She's adopted, so she's part of the family. Okay. I don't have her middle name down here, but her first name, Nancy, is 57. 57. Flaws, again, is 61. 57 and 61 total 118, which is 6 times 17 minus 1. 119 is 17. So we're still doing family stuff, right? Family stuff. We lived in Chicago, and we moved in like four different places in Chicago before we moved out to the suburb in Lansing with that lot 17. Okay, a lower middle class vacation, cheap vacation, was to take a trip around Lake Michigan and see the sights. You know, you see a bunch of islands up there by Minnesota, and there's a place called Mackinac Island in the north part of Lake Michigan, and it's a tourist stop. See, you take a little ferry over there, and and you can go and you look at all the historic events and things and like that, but there's no cars. There might be now. You know, in 1947, there were no cars on the island. They didn't allow them. So you had to go around to see all these sites with a horse-drawn carriage. Okay. And there were 2 big seats, and then the driver sat up in front. Okay, great. There it is, right there. You see that? See? There's Dad, Mom, and Jack. Right? And then there's other people there. All right, great. Oh, fine. Who's in charge of that? Not me. I had 17 when I was 11 and 47. That was my number. It was already my number. Right? I didn't know it. I wouldn't know it for another 40 years. But my dad is a 17. So the carriage number is a 17. You see that number? It's 357, which is 210 times 17 exactly. Huh? Are you a believer yet? We got more to go. Yeah, got more to go. Because now we're gonna look at my building that I'm sitting in right now. Okay? There's the map. The county map, right? Yeah. That yellow one there with 2 red marks in it, that's where I live. Right? And that little lot right there, okay? There's the price, so forth. It was zoned as commercial because it used to be a print shop. Okay, I've got 12 17s in just these numbers. Okay, remember I said I bought it. The minimum that the court put on there. The court minimum of the house was $67,617. Well, that 17 shows a 17 right there. But see, there's, I don't know whether you can see that. Is it 67? Well, 68 is 4 times 17, and this is 600 numbers into 68. It's Kolel. Right? So there's 2 numbers there. It was zoned number 51. 51 is 3 times 17. Here's an estate number up here. 77 and 85. No, 18. Well, 18 is a 17, isn't it? Kolel. What else have we got? We've got the actual numbers. I don't think you're going to be able to see that. The top number is 17, and the number underneath it is 33. They're both 17s on my house. The county numbers are... There's more. There's always more. Where is it? This number here is 185. It's a section number. See? So it's number 77 in section 185, number 33 and 17. Those are the 4 numbers of my house according to the county. Okay? Well, I can take all 3 of those numbers. See that on the bottom there? I can take all 4 of those numbers and work all those numbers and see what they happen. Right? I can take them individually, I can set them together. I can take them apart. I can put them all together. Okay? Well, obviously, a 17 on the lot number, 17 and 33, there's two 17s right there. But if I put 17 and 33 together, it makes 50. And 50 is 17 minus 1, 51. 51 minus 1. Okay? If I take the digits of 77, 185, and 33, they add up to 34. 2 times 17. Here's the escrow number down at the bottom. Escrow number. It starts out with a 17. What you can't read that, okay? 1799.65. It shows a 17. 12 17s off of my building. It's not over. It's not over. A couple of months ago, within the last 6 months, I was reading an article or listening to a video, whatever, and the person was talking about a certain location, and he gave the coordinates that you can use in Google Earth. You know, Google Earth, you can look at your house because they go around, they photograph everything. Okay, so I said, oh, okay, well, I'll look up Google Earth and see where that is. So I put the coordinates in there, and I did that, and then I said, wait a minute, my house has coordinates. My house has coordinates. Okay, well, I'll try that. So I zoomed in on my house, okay, and if you have ever done Google Earth, then just that much of a move, almost no move at all, a hundredth of an inch move changes all the numbers, you know, because a hundredth of an inch for you is, 10 or 15 feet. Okay, so it took me about 3 minutes to zero in on what I thought was the center of my house. I put it right down in the very middle, both ways, right on the top of the house. And I said, okay, I got to take that one and see what happens. So here were the coordinates. North latitude, west longitude. North latitude, there are 4 numbers here. Okay, degrees, feet, inches, point hundredths of inches, decimal point. But 4 numbers, okay? It's 40 degrees north 40 degrees, 7 minutes, 14.25 seconds. So I got 4 numbers. 40, 07 is another number, 14, and 25. If I add the numbers, not the digits, the numbers, 40, not 4, but 40, okay? 40, 7, 14, 25, comes out to 86. One more than 85. Okay? But if I do add the digits, then I've got 4 plus 7 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 5. Makes 23. Okay? 23. That's not a 17, but it's 23. Okay? So then we'll go to west. Longitude west. 123 degrees, one number, 49 inches, feet, minutes, 49 minutes, 30.60 seconds. Okay? 123, 49, 30, 60. If I add all of those digits together, I come out with 28. 28. Okay? 23 north and 28 west totals 51. 3 times 17. Okay? It went even farther because I put all of the digits together in both places into one number that's, I don't know, 20 numbers long, something like that. They add to 51. They add to 51. But if I divide that big long number by 17, it comes out to have all kinds of numbers, right? But it shows a 17 at the end, right? The coordinates for my house, the numbers, feature 6 17s. 6 17s. Oh, you remember I said I was going to get my birth certificate out of my wallet, okay? And you know those little picture frames that they put in the wallet? You know, you flip them or you look at your pictures. Well, I haven't had it in there, okay? So I pulled it out, but I noticed one of the pictures, I had a picture in it, but it had 2 fortune cookies. Fortune cookies. Oh, learn Chinese. Blah, 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 blah. Turn it over and it says, lucky numbers. Oh, 6 lucky numbers. Okay. My numbers, there's 5 17s here. Out of 6 numbers. Okay? My numbers are 17, 19, 4, 50, 18, 23. No, 27. Okay? Well, obviously 17 is a 17. And the 50 is 3 times 17 minus 1, 51. And 18 is Kolel. That's 3. If I put all of those digits, those numbers, not the digits, the numbers together, all right? 17 plus 19 plus 4, etc., comes out to be 135. Remember that was 135 instead of 136 to do with one of my dad's numbers, okay? 5 17ths. However, if I put all those numbers together, they not only add to a 17, they divide by 17. 1,11,941,284 times 17 minus 1. 5 17s out of a fortune cookie. Diversity. Diversity. Well, I'm going to show you a whole bunch of diversity. They're everywhere. Everything I come in contact with it's got a personal number in it turns out to be 17s. Right? Diversity. Okay. I'm going to put all these. Take a sip of your coffee or something. Okay. Here's another bunch of stuff. There's a lot of repeat on these, so I'm not going to repeat a lot, okay? The ministry I belonged to was Dr. Gene Scott. He's gone now. But he was preaching, he was teaching, not a sermon, but he was teaching at night on the video. He said, and if you want the notes that I use for this lesson, just call one of the Voices of Faith and give me your address, and we'll mail you one out. I said, okay, well, I want that. So I did. I called the house, called the telephone lines, and I said, my name is, and I live at, and I want this notes, and okay, fine, blah, blah, blah. And about a week later, it showed up in the mail, and I said, okay, wait. I pulled it out of my mailbox. After I got through cleaning the post office for about a couple of months, whatever, a box became available. My box number was 975. The box that I got that came available is box number 1717. It came available, okay? So it showed up in my life. Oh, okay, I'll take that. I pulled that envelope out of my mailbox, and I looked at the name on it and said, wait a minute, that's not my name. That's not my name. How did it? 1717, but wow. It was the notes. The name that it was mailed to was Jade instead of Jack. It was Jade D-E Flores instead of flaws. It's Flores, right? De Flores. Oh, Spanish name. A Spanish name? Jade de Flores? Wait a minute. But my great aunt, many, many, many years ago, did a genealogy search and traced our family not to Scotland, because that's where the first generation of Americans came from, came out of Scotland. The name was Flaws in Scotland, okay? But migrations happened from Spain to Ireland and England and up to Scotland for 200 or 300 years. Different people came and went. So she traced our name back to Spain. Oh, Spain. And now I've got a De Flores. So even someone mistaking my name very badly, I mean, Jade De Flores is nothing like Jack Flaws, over the phone, confirmed that God 17 in my life. Okay. Let's see. We want to go. Remember the car? I bought the car. It had the odometer reading was 255. The last vehicle I bought for my business, and that was for the mail route. I wound up with 2 different mail routes. So I had 2 cars going on mail every day. And one of them was a RAV4. And then I bought the Element with the 255 on the odometer. Okay. The vehicle I bought for my business was a 2003 Honda Element, which was purchased at the same dealer that sold me the RAV4 that I talked about earlier. Okay. And I bought it from the same salesman that sold me the RAV4. Okay. Well, God gave me the car, so there must be some 17s somewhere besides the 17 that I offered for the thing. Okay? I mean, I know a lot about 17 in my life now. So I offered them $19,601, which is an exact 17. Okay? So that was the out the door cost. No add-ons or anything. Okay? Here it is. There's the whole bill, right? The whole bill. This. Where's the? This red here. That's not on the bill of sale. Okay. That's the odometer, right? The odometer. 15 times 17. Okay. So here's the engine number. Wait a second. Oh yeah, I've got those here. I don't have to. I just wanted to show you this so that you know it was true. Okay. The odometer reading. Okay. Next, the salesman, same one that sold me the RAV4, gave me the master key. The master key. It said that the stock number of the car was 17,200. It shows a 17. Okay. Not a multiple, but it shows a 17. Still, it's only 3 away from counting if I do divide it, you know. It's close to a 17, but it's not a 17. Okay. The valet key had a barcode of 805. Where is that 805? We're going to try and show you on the thing here. That's barcode. Oh well. Okay. Barcode was 885, and 885 is 52 times 17. Next, I saw the engine number, and that's 2 different numbers. K 24A4 dash. So I can work that number, or I can work the second number, 16,294, 16. Right. Okay. Now, usually I don't mix the numbers and the letters. All right. So I just took the second number. Right. The second number, the 16,294, 16. Well, 16,294, 16 is 95,848 times 17 on the nose. Right. The last on the bill of sale was a control number. I don't know what they were controlling, but a control number. 226617. Shows a 17. Shows a 17. The car's factory sticker had 4 numbers. The origin dealer's address, 1775. I mean, that's not my number, but it's a 17. So it's on the... Okay. 1775. Auto Center Drive. Right? The reference number was 06205, which is 365 times 17 on the nose. The HN number, I don't know what the HN stands for. HN number was 5292. Now those digits add to 18. Only the original dealer's number, 204 941, 207 941 has no feature of 17. Oh, too bad. At this point, I thought that I had all the numbers covered. But when I looked at the bottom of the bill of sale, I saw that my salesman, Bob, the one who sold me the RAV 3 years ago, also has a number. I keep telling you, there's always more. There's always more, right? Bob's number is 256. Not 255, but 256. It's only one away. 15 times 7 plus 1, right? How does God do that? I usually do that kind of thing. You know, I say that I know how he does it. I know why he does it. But I say, how can he do that? I don't know. Now, after the RAV4, I turned that in to a Forester, used Forester. Okay? The Forester paperwork had 12 numbers that I could use. I did the work on those 12 numbers, and 3 of them featured 17. That's 25%. 25%. The odds are that out of 17 numbers, 1 will be a 17. If 17 is your number, then 1 of those numbers will be a 17. 2 of them will not be 2. It'll be something like 4 or 8, because numbers, when you do odds, they jump. They jump up, okay? Now, when I made this page out here, it was today. I happened to think of one of my previous addresses. And you know what came up? A number. I remember going through all my addresses before, looking for 17 connections. I did that. All my life numbers, all my addresses, right? Did I mention 68 Carmel Valley Road? That was a house that I bought with a partner. So it wasn't me only. The house that I'm in now was me only. Nobody involved in that but me only. Okay? So, but the address still was 4 times 17, right? So some of these addresses that I looked at, I discounted. And I went back over them, and I said, well, wait a minute, let me go back over this stuff. You say 17 occurs, I passed it up. This time I noticed that 3 of them, ones that I had discarded earlier, did connect. A light connection, okay? A light connection. I lived at the second place that I lived, that I know about living in, was the third place. Because when I was born, my parents lived in a place, and then they moved to the place, the first one that I lived at, and that was the fourth place was 7111 Rhodes Avenue. 71 is reverse, right? Reverse, okay? Also, a number that I discounted was the next place that we lived after 7111 was 7331 Vernon Avenue. It's got a 7 and a 1 in it. No big deal. From there, we moved to 10127 Parnell Avenue, still Chicago. Okay. Well, that's got a 1 and a 7 in it also. Okay. Okay, we did all of that, 10127, and then we moved to Lansing. Okay. One thing I didn't talk about with Lansing, the address there, but according to Chicago numbers, it was on 178th Street. 178th Street, which shows a 17, and it adds 178 adds to 16. Okay. But the house number we already talked about, right? 3537 is 208 times 17. Okay. And I have to add something about C.S. Lewis, because I'm going through all of these numbers all the time, right? And here's C.S. Lewis. I said, well, I relate to C.S. Lewis pretty good because I read his nickname, they called him Jack. His first name was Clive, but they called him Jack. Oh, okay. Well, I relate to that. And he's a teacher. It was Oxford, I think. Oxford, professor at Oxford. Okay? And that's what I did. That was my profession. I was a teacher. Okay. And 3 of the letters in his last name line up with 3 of the letters in my last name. Okay. But I never worked out the name. Okay? And now I said, well, wait a minute, what about the name? Clive. Clive, in English letters, Clive is 52. 52. No. My name is 52. His name is 25. 25 is the reverse of 52, right? 1 away. 52 is 1 away from 51. Okay. Lewis is a 68. 4 times 17. Clive is a 51, and Lewis is a 58. Huh? Come on. There's more. There's always more, right? I said, well, what about his initials? Clive, Staples, I think it's Staples, Lewis. CSL. CSL in English, 34. 34. Remember we talked about family? Family. Okay, here's some family stuff. I have come across other relatives 4 generations back, so forth. Just a couple of numbers here and there, not all of their numbers. They weren't available. I didn't do this. I got this from somebody else did that, and they said, well, my grandfather was married on October 17th. My father was born on the 17th, and he was married on the 17th, right? Mary Ann passed away on September 1st, 1914. 9/1/1914 as a single number is 53,642 times 17. Okay. Her dad, Mary Ann's dad, passed away on November 17th. Families are 17. This is 17 family, right? Okay, I already talked about my dad's name. Reduce it down, it's 137, right? And that's 18 times 7, 17, 8 times 17 plus 1. But my grandfather, or his his grandfather, Magnus is 75, Flaws is 61. 75 is 61 is 136. 136. And remember, my dad's number in English was 137. Okay. We won't do that one. There's the address and a phone number. Section 32, all that stuff. I was born on the 17, Nancy. Numbers in the paper, the court, the chart. Oh, okay, we did all of that stuff. Here's all the court stuff. We did that one section already, and all the court numbers and everything. 22 times 17s in all of these things. My dad's numbers and stuff. 22 times 17. All right. Okay. We're almost through. Diversity. Diversity. Why do I do diversity? To show you that it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Right? Remember I had the janitorial service? Huh? Eight people working. I said, well, the people who are working with me on this thing, maybe they're 17s too. Of course they were. Of course they were. There's Ed Masson. These are English. English. Yeah, there's that one. 136. 136. And here's Rebecca Downey. All right. Downey is 86. 85. And she's a 136 also. Okay. Then we've got Forrest Durrell. Forrest is 101. Yeah, right. Forrest is 101. Durrell is 84. 101 is 102. 6 times 17 is 102. And 84 is one away from 85, right? And both of them together are 185, which isn't, right? But then his mother was working. Terry Lynn is 117, and Dorell is 84 from 85, right? And here's Margaret Lewis. Lewis is the same as Clive Lewis, 68, 4 times 17, right? And then we've got Terrence Wogan, and his 3 names total 170. 170, 17. And here's Mary Ann, who has, her middle name is 171, and her last name is 71, which is a reverse. Right? And here's a driver, relief driver, when somebody's sick, somebody comes in and he drives, okay. He doesn't have a 17 except that his phone number is 3945, and that's 232 times 17 plus 1. Diversity. Diversity. Had a problem with my computer. Somebody got in there, dropped off a virus or something, and I had to take it into the shop. Took it into the shop, and I paid a little extra for jump in line, be at the head of the line, you know, and they charge you for being charged instead of waiting until everybody else. Okay. This is the receipt that I got. okay, the receipt, 7 17s. 7 17s. There are just a couple of different numbers in here, okay? The top number is the invoice number, and it's 48410. 48410. Totals, when you add those digits together, total 17. Okay? The date of the invoice, it was on April 17th. Okay. The labor charge at $70 a month, an hour, came out to be 75% of 70, 3/4. Okay. The actual charge was $52.50. That was the labor. Well, 52 is one more than 51, and 50 separated by the period. Okay, I can do that. By the period is 50. That's one less than 51. Okay. 3 times 17. 3 times 17. Right. Now that extra charge, was $50. So add 52.50 to 50, and you get 102.50, right? But 102 is also 6 times 17 on the head. And the 50 behind it is again 3 times 51 minus 1. But if I put 10250 together as one number, it comes out to be 603 times 17 minus 1 for my computer. Oh, maybe 6 months ago, 5 months ago, I noticed this next one. Remember I said these come from every place. They're all over the place. No matter what I'm looking at, if I is the number that is my number and nobody else's number, there's a good chance there's going to be a 17 in there. So I have a debit card, and I like to know how much I have left on the debit card when I go to buy something else. So the last purchase that I made has 2 numbers on it. How much I paid and how much is a balance. So I take those two numbers on a little piece of the receipt, cut it out, and I put it in my wallet. So I say, well, this is I got enough money to do that. Okay, and I don't have to pay any cash or something. Okay, good. I've been doing that for 15 or 20 years. 15 or 20 years. Huh? But it was just like 6 months ago, I said, wait a minute. It was an easily read number. It was a 50. It was a 17. I said, oh, wait a minute. That's a 17. Well, how many 17s do I... Wait a minute. So I started checking every time I got a receipt with the balance on it. I checked for both those things. I said, well, I'm going to do that. So this is what I wind up with. See that? All of those little receipts have how much and how much balance is in there, right? Right? Here's a good receipt here, this one on top. There's 3 17s in those 2 numbers. The top number is $3.94, and 394 totals 16. Kolel. The bottom number is $29.59. Those digits add to 17. But 2159 is 127 times 17 on the nose. Okay? I've got a whole other card for that. I'm going to finish doing that. I'm not going to do that after I fill up this card. Wait a minute. Oh, I dropped something on the floor and I got to pick it up. Hang on. Are we still okay? Yeah, we're okay. Okay. This card here is the first one that I showed you. See, there's 3 more spaces here. 3 more spaces. I'm going to quit after that. I'm not going to do all this forever, okay? But this last one here, I paid $16.92. 1692 added is 18. Watch this. We've got a number that's 101 times 17 on the nose, because the number is 17 on the whole. Fantastic. Okay. I still have it, but I haven't used it anymore. A 2-string kite. Oh, a 2-string kite. You can do stunts with it. See? Because you've got 2 strings, and if you pull this way, the kite goes, whoo. See? Pull it back, it goes back again. Oh, you can go round, round, round. You can write your name in the sky with your kite. Right? It's a lot of fun. You have to have a good wind, okay? You're up on the top of a hill where there's a good wind already, and you just let it kind of go out by itself. The wind catches it, and it pulls it up by itself, and you just stand in one place, okay? And you do all your stuff. Okay? I heard that there was going to be a contest. A stunt contest for 2-string kites. I said, well, I'm going to do that. Okay. I went, I did it. I got first place. First place. Well, stunt contest for Jack Flaws on the 12th of May, 1984. Oh, boy. Well, I don't usually look at dates, but the 12th of May is 5 and 12 is 17. Okay. What else we got here? Oh, I almost dropped that again. There was a dinner party happening, and there were 6 or 7 of us, and the host had to run off to the market to get some ingredient that his wife wanted, whatever it was. But he came back with a card for all of the guests. It was one of those scratch cards, right? It tells you what you're supposed to look for, and then it says there's 4 numbers down here, and you scratch it off the surface and see if any of the numbers match, and you win a prize. Okay, great. My number was 21. 21. Okay, well, I scratched them all off, and some of the people that were there already knew about this and had done this kind of thing before. I never bought one of these, and but they said, I've never seen anything like that. Oh, okay. My number was 21. 21. See, there's the 21, and here are 4 more 21s. I got the biggest prize you can get, right? I didn't turn this in. I don't know what it was. A big prize is, I don't know, $5 or $6. It's not a big deal. Not like the lottery, right? But there's 4 times 21 is 84. 1 away from 85. So I've got I've got that number. I've got a bunch of numbers down here. There's some numbers in here. All that. I've got 10 numbers that have 17s. 10 17s out of one card here. Okay? I'm not going to read all these to you. You're going to have to take my word for it. Right? I happen to have, remember that file I had with all of the receipts and everything? There's the real card. That's the real card. You know. Because some of these numbers came from the back, right? This is the back of it. Okay. Okay. Almost finished. I took 2 pages out of all of those pages that I had in the file, right? To show you what one of the pages is like. All of those cards, almost all of them are credit cards. These 2 are not credit cards. These are all credit cards. See? And some of them have only 3 groups of 4 numbers, right? There's one here. It only has 3 groups of 4 numbers. This one up here has 4 groups of 4 numbers. Lately they do 4 groups of 4 numbers, okay? You can see that? What's that say? Does that say 7 17s? Yeah. No, wait, that's 8 17s there. There's 5 17s there. There's 6 17s on that one. 7 17s on that one. And at the time I did all this, I had extra, and there's some more. This one here has 13 features of 17 with all of my numbers on there. And that includes the security number on the back. Okay? One of these numbers, remember I had the mail route, right? I went on vacation one summer. I went to Hawaii and I was going to do some scuba diving. While I was there, I was notified that there was a problem on one of the mail routes with one of the cars. So at one point I had to call back home to somebody to give them instructions. I couldn't do that. I didn't have a phone. I still don't have a phone. You know, let that phone stay where it is. So I was going to find a phone that I could, happened to be that I could use the library phone. Remember the island, the island that had the fire, Lahaina fire? That's where I was. That's where I was. I went to the library, and they said, well, okay, you can do that, but we need to have a record of this, so you have to get a library card. You have to be a member, library card. I said, oh, okay. I was never going to go into that library. I was never going to get a library book out of there. I was going to be there for 3 or 4 days and then go home. You know, there's my library card right there. See what that says? Huh? Yeah. Hawaii State Public Library System. Yeah. And there's the number, and all of those digits add up to 33. 33. Everywhere. Everywhere. And 33 17s come out of me. They come out of me. When I did this work, I had 236 videos on YouTube. 236. At that point, I had not looked for any 17s. on 236 of them. But I happened to be looking at 5 or 6 of them in a row, and I looked at it and said, oh, wait a minute, that's a 17. But, oh, well, I wonder how many wait a minute. I can show you the thing. I should have brought that with me. I went through every one of those looking for multiple, kollel, and addition. Oh, and show a 17. Okay? Out of 236 videos, 44 of them had features of 17. 20% of all of those numbers. You can't get odds like that. You know, that's astronomical odds that would be at 20% of those. I saved a good one for last. I'm telling you, they come from everywhere. They come out of me. Okay? Like with those. Do you know what you have to go through when you make a video? Huh? You make the video like I'm doing now, and you put it into your program, and it comes out, and it says hours, minutes, seconds. Okay. Now I have to edit. I have to take some out. I have to put some in. I have to whatever. The number changes. Number changes. It might change 2 or 3 times before I say make a movie. Okay. Okay. I say make a movie. Boom. The number can change again. Right. Then after I make the number, it can possibly change. Sometimes it doesn't, but it can possibly change when I put that into a different program to make it smaller, because one of these videos, this video now, if it goes an hour and a half, it's going to be up in the gigabytes, 3 gigabytes or something like that. And if I put it into this other program, it may come out with 280 megabytes, okay? Which is still pretty big, but okay. All of those number changes change what came out. There's absolutely no way that anybody can predict by using the first number what the last number is going to be if it's a 17. Can't do it. It's impossible, right? But all of those numbers that came out, 44 of them out of 236 featured 17, okay? And yesterday, huh? I wanted to go someplace and I wanted to put a hat on. I didn't like the hat that I usually wear. I wanted another hat, and I was looking around. I had 3 or 4 different hats, and one of them was an old sailor hat that I had. I haven't worn it for ages. I don't even know how long I've had it, but it's decades. It's been in a pile with a lot of hats, okay? Here it is. Wait a minute. Is it on the floor again? No, it's not on the floor again. Sorry about the delay here. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. This hat belonged to I.J. Berger, B-U-R-G-E-R. Didn't belong to me. I don't know where I got it. Maybe it was a thrift store. I don't know. But the number is 4260980. Oh, okay. No, there's no 17s in there, is there? 456 is only 15. and it's not multiplied or divide by. However, 69 is only one away from 68. That's a 17. If I put 456 and 80 together, 456 and 80 divided by 17 is 2,687 times 17 plus 1. There's one away. 69 again is 4 17s plus 1. 2 17s off this hat that I've had for 30 or 40 years. Never noticed that before. I said, oh, this got a number. Well, let's see if it's 17. The main problem for you is going to be finding your number. It took me years of studying gematria and understanding it and then applying it to different places and noticing it show up time after time after time, right? One very close friend had a landline, doesn't have it anymore, and a cell phone, right? I know both numbers. I've known both numbers for a long time. Decades she's had both those numbers. And it was only about a year ago, they're both 17s. Both 17s. They add to 17, both of them. Not only that, but her license plate does the same thing. It took many more years finding 17 lived in many different contexts, all the different places that I showed you. Okay? I'd be looking at something I had done many times that the numbers had and had numbers involved, but this time I saw that this particular number featured 17. And on more research, I would find that out of 236 examples of these numbers, 20 out of 100 were 17s. Actually, 47 17s out of 236. How do you find your own number? I don't know. You can't just randomly stick out 30 numbers and start dividing them by a bunch of different numbers and see if something happens. I mean, that won't work at all. I think what you'd have to do would be to start with your name, and that would be English letters out of the position in the alphabet, just like I showed you that I did, okay? And then reduce it down to, now this got to be your birth number, your birth name though, right? Okay. Reduce that down to single digit numbers, right? And then take that number, take one of those numbers, you know? You're gonna have three numbers, probably the middle name, so you're gonna have to figure out which one, but at least you'll have a number to go by, and then you can put a list of your addresses or your phone numbers and all kinds of different numbers that you know about, add your license number on your car, stuff like that, and divide those numbers by the number you come up with for your name. And maybe something will happen. I sure hope it does. Boy, you'll love it. You'll love it. It's like, never mind. Let's see. So I found that my name featured 17 in Greek and Hebrew, and you can do the same thing, right? There's no vowels in Hebrew, and there's only 4 letters in Hebrew in the name Jacob, and that's the name that I thought was the closest name to Jack would be Jacob. Okay? And in Greek, the closest name to Jack would be the name John. And there's either 6 or 7 letters in John, you know. And so, and that totals up to a 17, okay? So then, after I did my name, I told you I was reading and Proverbs 6, and I happened to notice, and I said, well, wait a minute. Oh, 717, that's my name. Wait a minute. And that started me. I mean, that was 38 years ago, 39 years ago. And now I'm looking at all kinds of numbers coming in, and all the address, receipt numbers and stuff like that, okay? 17, Greek and Hebrew. I was working my life numbers and addresses. So you take the number and divide it by 17, whatever your number happens, you might be able to find, applying the rules of gematria, you know, division, kollel, adding, showing, reversing maybe, okay? A couple of levels later, I found that I was producing those numbers. I didn't tell you about the stopwatch. This happened to me twice. I have a radio show, and I don't know, 20 years ago, I was working up my radio show, coming up, and because I can get off on a comment here and there, I was having trouble finishing in an hour. You know, I'd make a couple of comments, and all of a sudden I was 5 minutes over, and I said, "The heck with that! I'm gonna work this out and record it before I go on the air, and then if I need 5 minutes, I can cut something out, and then I'll be on time, or I can add something in, and I'll be on time." Okay? I do that with the stopwatch. Okay? I did that with the stopwatch. I said, okay, what was the time? The time was... I said, wait a minute. It was a 17. The number on the stopwatch, minutes, seconds, and tenths of a second, or hundredths, whatever it is. And it was a 17. And about 2 months ago, maybe less than that, it happened again. I was doing the stopwatch to do my show, and I said, hey, wait a minute, there's another one, 17. They're coming out of me. They're not coming to me only, they're coming out of me. 17 is all around, right? Lastly, I've come to believe that a personal number would have to be simple enough to be absolutely sure. No ambiguity, okay? That means prime number. A prime number is an absolute sure number. You can't work it out anyway but itself. Yeah? It's not a multiple of anything but itself. It's not a division of anything but itself. That's why it's a prime number, right? Okay? Any even number can be divided by more than one way. And now the choice of what your number is one or the other. And it's not your choice. It's God, the one that made that number for you. You didn't make that number up. He did. So it can only be one number. Okay? Prime number. 2-digit prime numbers have to be the best, you know, because they're so easy to work at, you know. I mean, in a week, you already know the first 6 numbers of your number. See? I know the first 6 numbers that feature 17 on the way to 122, 102, right? There's 6 of them. And that's easy, okay? But I also know that you can figure out real easily a 3-digit number to make 17, okay? 3-digit number. Because when you do a 3-digit number, all you do is you take the first number and double it. And then you take that number and subtract it from the two numbers that are left and see what happens. If a 17 comes out of that process, the whole thing is a 17. The 357 on the horse-drawn carriage, okay, is that a 17 or not? With 210 17s, right? 210. How do you do that? 3, 5, 7. 3 doubled is 6, right? Subtract 6 from 57. You get 51. 3 times 17. If it happens to be 0, okay? If it happens to be 0, it's a 17. 0 or... Okay. I've even found, I haven't done this a lot, but I've found several times that a 4-digit number can also be a 17. But it gets kind of complicated, see? Because the one thing that I worked on just recently was 1190 something or other, okay? But when I doubled the 11 and made 22 out of it and subtracted the 22 from the 90 something or other, it wound up like 68, 17. The reason it gets complicated is sometimes those last two numbers, see, your number might be 1105. Well, now you got to subtract 22 from 5, and where do you go? Well, you go down to minus numbers, right? And so I don't know whether that happens all the time or not. You know, too much trouble, and it's not worth it. You know. Well, I certainly hope that you wind up finding your number. It'll change your life. It will change your life, right? And you'll be going around telling everybody you can find you have a number, right? And then they'll act the way you acted when I first started with this. Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Figures, numbers figure and figures number and all of that. Thanks a lot for watching all this time. God bless.